The email arrived at exactly 3:15 in the afternoon. Subject line: Termination of employment. My coffee mug froze halfway to my lips as I stared at those three words, watching them blur and sharpen with each blink. 5 years at Urban Wave Marketing, and this is how it ends. Not even a courtesy meeting. I'm Jessica, and until today, I was a marketing coordinator who played by the rules. Always did. Never rocked the boat, never caused trouble. That's what makes this so surreal. Hey, Jess, you okay? Samantha's voice drifted over my cubicle wall. You look like you've seen a ghost. They fired me. The words felt foreign on my tongue. Just like that, no warning, no explanation. What? That's impossible. You're their top performer. Samantha's head appeared over the partition, her therapist's instincts already kicking in. I opened the email, scanning its contents. Effective immediately. Breach of confidentiality. Unauthorized disclosure of sensitive information. My hands started shaking. This is bullshit. I've never leaked anything in my life. My phone buzzed. A text from my sister Megan. Did you hear? Dad's stepping down from Technova. Emergency board meeting happening now. The timing couldn't be coincidental. My father, David Clark, CEO of Technova, suddenly retiring the same day I'm fired? The same father who hasn't spoken to me directly in 3 years, who always sided with Megan in every childhood dispute, who— Security's coming, Samantha whispered urgently. They're heading this way. 2 men in dark suits approached my desk. Miss Clark, please gather your personal belongings. I want to speak to Human Resources, I demanded, standing up. This is completely unfounded. HR has already processed your termination. Please don't make this difficult. The office grew quiet. Dozens of eyes watched from behind monitors and coffee cups as I stuffed my photos and desk plants into a cardboard box. My face burned, but I refused to cry. Not here, not now. I'll call you later, Samantha mouthed as the guards escorted me to the elevator. In the parking garage, I sat in my car, gripping the steering wheel until my knuckles turned white. My phone kept buzzing. More texts from Megan. Mom's organizing a farewell party tonight. You have to come. Everyone's expecting you. Don't make this awkward, Jess. I laughed bitterly. Of course Mother would throw a party. Linda Clark, real estate mogul and master of maintaining appearances, would never let a simple thing like family dysfunction get in the way of a social opportunity. My phone rang. Unknown number. Hello? Jessica Clark? A man's voice, unfamiliar. My name is Marcus Allen. I'm a private investigator, and I have information about your termination that you might want to hear. I sat up straighter. How did you get this number? Let's just say I've been watching your family for a while. Your firing wasn't random. Neither is your father's sudden retirement. What do you know about it? Not over the phone. Meet me at the Blue Door Cafe in an hour if you want answers. He hung up before I could respond. I stared at my phone, then at the cardboard box of memories sitting in my passenger seat. 5 years of dedication ended with a form email. My perfect sister's perfect text messages. My father's convenient retirement. My mother's inevitable party. Something snapped inside me. The good daughter, the rule follower, the one who always took the high road. She died in that parking garage. I started my car, decision made. I'd meet this Marcus Allen, skip my mother's party, and start asking the questions I should have asked years ago. Because if someone orchestrated my downfall, they're about to learn that nice, predictable Jessica isn't so nice anymore. And family ties? They're just ropes to hang yourself with. The Blue Door Cafe smelled like burnt coffee and secrets. Marcus Allen sat in the corner booth, a manila envelope on the table in front of him. He didn't look up when I approached, just pushed the envelope toward me with one finger. Your termination papers, he said. Notice anything strange? I pulled out the documents, scanning them quickly. The signature at the bottom caught my eye. Human Resources Director Janet Myers. Except Janet had retired 3 months ago. This signature's forged, I said, my throat tightening. But how did you— I have sources inside Urban Wave. Marcus finally looked up, his eyes sharp and calculating. Your firing wasn't just convenient timing, it was orchestrated. My phone buzzed again. Megan! I silenced it without looking. By whom? Your mother's fingerprints are all over this. He pulled out another document. Linda Clark made 3 calls to Urban Wave's board members last week. Interesting timing, considering your father's retirement announcement. The cafe door chimed. I glanced up to see Ethan walking in, his artist's hands wrapped around a coffee cup. He spotted me and smiled, heading over. Jess, everything okay? Samantha called me about. He stopped short, noticing Marcus. Oh, sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt. We're just finishing, Marcus said, gathering his papers. He slid a business card across the table. Call me when you're ready to hear the rest. After he left, Ethan took his place. What's going on? Who was that? A private investigator. I twisted the paper cup in front of me. Someone set me up, Ethan. Someone wanted me out of Urban Wave. Your family? His voice was gentle, careful. He'd never met them, never understood why I kept that distance. My phone buzzed again. This time, it was my mother. Jessica, darling. Her voice dripped honey and arsenic. You're coming tonight, aren't you? Your father specifically asked for you to be here. Did he? That would be a first. Don't start. This is important. The press will be there. We need to present a united front. I caught my reflection in the window. Pale, angry, determined. Actually, Mother, I have a question. Did you make any interesting calls last week? To Urban Wave, perhaps? The silence lasted 2 heartbeats too long. I network with many companies, dear. You know that. Right. Just like you networked me right out of my job? Jessica. Her voice turned to steel. Come to the party. We'll discuss this privately. Don't make a scene. Too late. I hung up, hands shaking. Ethan reached across the table, but I pulled back. I need to go home and change. If I'm attending a party, I should look my best. Jess, wait. Maybe you should take some time to… To what? Let them win again? I stood up, grabbing my purse. I'm done being the good daughter who stays quiet and takes it. At home, I pulled out the black dress I'd been saving for special occasions. As I applied my makeup, I remembered the last family gathering, Megan's fashion blog launch party. Mother had spent the entire evening introducing her to investors, while I stood in the corner making small talk with waiters. My phone lit up with a text from Samantha. Whatever you're planning, be careful. Revenge isn't always sweet. But as I stepped into my heels, sweet wasn't what I was going for. I wanted bitter. I wanted sharp. I wanted truth. The business card Marcus gave me sat on my dresser. I picked it up, studying the embossed letters. There was more he wasn't telling me, about my father's retirement, about my mother's involvement, about everything. Another text from Megan. Mom's freaking out. What did you say to her? I typed back. Nothing she didn't already know. Jess, please, don't make this worse. I looked at myself in the mirror one last time. The woman staring back wasn't the same one who'd started this morning with a coffee and a career. This woman had nothing left to lose. Too late, I texted back. See you at the party. I grabbed my keys, leaving Ethan's 3 missed calls unanswered. Tonight, the Clark family would learn that their perfect façade had one fatal crack. Me. And I was done playing my assigned role in their carefully scripted drama. Let them see what happens when the good daughter goes bad. The Clark family mansion loomed before me, its windows blazing with party lights. I gripped Marcus's latest file in my purse, financial records showing suspicious transfers between Technova and my mother's real estate ventures. The valet took my car, and I straightened my spine, ready for war. Inside, crystal chandeliers threw diamond patterns across the marble floors. Mother had outdone herself, as usual. Waiters circulated with champagne flutes, reporters huddled in corners, and there, holding court near the grand staircase, stood Linda Clark in designer black, perfectly coiffed and poised. Jessica. Her smile didn't reach her eyes. I wasn't sure you'd come. And Miss Father's big announcement? Never. I accepted a champagne flute, noting how her gaze flickered to my dress, the same one she'd called too bold at last year's charity gala. "Your sister's looking for you." Mother's dismissal was practiced, smooth. "She's in the library." I found Megan pacing among the leather-bound books, her designer heels clicking against hardwood. She spun when I entered, mascara smudged beneath her eyes. "Thank God you're here." Her voice cracked. "I can't do this anymore, Jess." "Do what?" "Pretend everything's fine." She grabbed my arm, pulling me deeper into the library. "Mom's been selling off Dad's assets behind his back, using my blog as a front for laundering the money." I stared at her, pieces clicking into place. "Your sudden social media success, all fabricated. The followers, the brand deals. Mom orchestrated everything." Megan wiped her eyes. I thought I was finally doing something on my own. Why tell me this now?" "Because—" She stopped as voices approached. Mother entered with two board members, their conversation cutting off when they saw us. "Girls." Mother's tone was warning. "Your father's about to speak." In the grand hall, Father stood on the landing, looking older than I remembered. The crowd hushed as he cleared his throat. "After 30 years at Technova." He began the rehearsed speech, but I was watching Mother. Her perfect mask slipped when Father mentioned full retirement, revealing something like triumph. My phone buzzed. "Marcus, check your email. Found the smoking gun." I slipped away to the powder room, hands shaking as I opened the attachment. There it was, proof that Mother had been systematically undermining Father's position at Technova while simultaneously orchestrating my firing, all to consolidate her power over both companies. A knock startled me. "Jessica?" Ethan's voice. "Samantha told me you'd be here. We need to talk." I opened the door. He looked worried, beautiful in his slightly rumpled suit. "This isn't a good time. It never is anymore." He stepped closer. "What's happening to you?" Before I could answer, Megan appeared. "Jess, Mom's looking for you. She wants—" "Oh." She noticed Ethan. "Sorry, I didn't—" "It's fine." I touched Ethan's arm. "We'll talk later." Back in the hall, applause thundered as Father finished his speech. Mother beckoned me over, her smile razor-sharp. "Family photo," she announced, "for the press." As we posed, I felt her hand grip my arm. "Whatever you're planning," she whispered, "remember who taught you everything you know about survival." "You taught me plenty, Mother." I smiled for the cameras. "Like how to recognize a forgery." "Janet Myers' signature, really?" Her fingers dug deeper. "You have no idea what you're dealing with." "Actually, I do." I turned to face her fully. "I know about the money laundering through Megan's blog, the asset stripping at Technova, everything." Color drained from her face. Behind us, Megan made a small choked sound. "Ladies," a reporter approached. "Mrs. Clark, any comment on the rumors about Technova's financial irregularities?" Mother's mask slipped back into place. "No comment at this time." But I stepped forward. "Actually, I have something to say about that." "Jessica." Father's voice sharp with warning. But for once, I wasn't backing down. The reporter's recorder light blinked red. Mother's perfect smile froze. Megan grabbed my hand, supporting or restraining, I wasn't sure. And somewhere in the crowd, Ethan watched, about to learn exactly who I really was. "It's quite a story," I said, reaching for the file in my purse. "Would you like to hear it?" Because some facades deserve to shatter. And tonight, the Clark family's perfect image was about to break into a million glittering pieces. Father's hand clamped around my wrist before I could open the file. "A word," he said, steering me toward his study. Behind us, the reporter called out questions that died in the suddenly silent room. The study door clicked shut. Father's sanctuary, all mahogany and leather, reeking of power and old scotch. But something was different. The walls looked bare, prestigious certificates missing, filing cabinets slightly askew. "You have no idea what you're about to destroy." He didn't sit behind his desk. Instead, he paced, something I'd never seen him do. Like you destroyed my career? That wasn't. He stopped, rubbing his temples. Your mother did that without my knowledge. But there are bigger things at stake. My phone buzzed. Marcus again. Don't show the file. New information. Urgent. What bigger things? I asked, watching Father's face. The money laundering? The asset stripping? The survival of this family. He pulled out a folder from his desk. Your mother isn't just moving assets. She's protecting them from this. The papers inside showed federal investigation notices, subpoenas, evidence of massive fraud. Not by Mother, but by Father himself. Years of it, reaching back before I was born. The retirement isn't voluntary, he said quietly. It's part of a deal. The door opened. Ethan stood there, face grim. Jessica, we need to talk. Now. Not a good time, Father snapped. Actually, it is. Ethan stepped in, closing the door. Because I just got off the phone with Marcus Allen. He's dead. The room tilted. What? Car accident, an hour ago. Very convenient timing. Father's expression didn't change. Mother appeared in the doorway, perfectly composed despite the chaos downstairs. The reporters are leaving, she announced. Crisis managed. Like you managed Marcus? I asked. Don't be dramatic, dear. She smiled at Ethan. And you are? Someone who made copies of everything Marcus found. Ethan's voice was steel, including what he discovered today. Mother's smile flickered. Father sank into his chair. Jessica, Mother said carefully, whatever you think you know. I know enough. But did I? Marcus dead, Father under investigation, Mother's machinations suddenly looking less like power grabs and more like protection? Megan burst in, mascara completely ruined now. They're asking questions about the blog, about the money. Mom, what do I do? Nothing, Mother and I said simultaneously. Ethan touched my arm. We should go, now. Nobody's going anywhere. Father's voice was quiet but final. Jessica, that file you have? It's not complete. Marcus didn't know everything. But I do, said a new voice. Samantha stood in the doorway, holding her own folder. I'm not just Jessica's friend. I'm the federal investigator assigned to your case. The room went silent. Mother's perfect mask cracked completely. Father closed his eyes. Sam? My voice sounded strange, distant. I'm sorry, Jess, but this goes deeper than family drama. She stepped inside, closing the door. Mr. Clark, Mrs. Clark, we need to talk about witness protection. Witness protection. The words echoed in my head as I looked at my family, really looked at them. Father, defeated but somehow relieved. Mother, calculating even now. Megan, terrified and lost. And me, standing in the middle with a file full of half-truths and a dead private investigator. The question, Samantha continued, is who's willing to testify first? Mother laughed softly. After all these years of keeping this family together, you think we'd turn on each other now? I would, Megan whispered. The silence that followed was deafening. I felt Ethan's hand on my back, steadying me. The revenge I'd planned suddenly seemed small, petty compared to what was really happening. Well, Mother said, looking at each of us in turn, it seems we have decisions to make. My phone buzzed one final time, a text from an unknown number. Marcus Allen's last message. Trust no one, especially family. I looked at Samantha, my supposed best friend. At Ethan, who knew more than he should. At my family, fracturing before my eyes. The revenge I'd wanted was nothing compared to the revenge being offered. The question was, who would I destroy to get it? 3 days after Marcus's death, I sat in Ethan's gallery after hours, surrounded by the evidence we'd salvaged. Security camera footage from the accident played silently on his laptop. Marcus's car, the mysterious black SUV, the too-perfect timing. Your mother's been busy, Ethan said, spreading photographs across his desk. These were in Marcus's backup files. The photos showed Mother at various meetings, all with people connected to father's federal investigation. But something felt wrong about the images. Her body language, the locations, the timing. My phone lit up. Megan. Mom knows about the witness protection offer. She's making moves. What kind of moves? I texted back. The permanent kind. Ethan's hand covered mine, stopping its trembling. We need to talk about Samantha. She's FBI. She was never my friend. The words tasted bitter. No, he said quietly. She's something worse. Look at this. He pulled up an email chain, correspondence between Samantha and Mother, dating back 5 years. My entire friendship with her, orchestrated from the start. The gallery's front door chimed. We both froze. We're closed, Ethan called out. Not to family. Mother's voice, elegant as ever. She appeared in the office doorway, wearing her signature black suit like armor. Jessica, darling, we need to discuss your options. My options? I stood, putting the desk between us. Like Marcus's options? That unfortunate accident had nothing to do with me. She examined a nearby sculpture, though its timing was convenient. What do you want? To protect you. All of you. For the first time, I heard something like desperation in her voice. Your father's deals went deeper than you know. There are people, powerful people, who want this family destroyed. And Samantha? Insurance. Mother's smile was razor thin. Everyone needs a safety net. My phone buzzed again. Megan. Don't trust her. She's already moved the offshore accounts. The witness protection offer, I said carefully. Was that real? Oh, it's real. Mother stepped closer. But so are the alternatives. Ethan moved protectively toward me, but Mother barely glanced at him. You have 12 hours to decide, Jessica. Either we handle this as a family, or... She let the threat hang. Or what? More accidents? Ask yourself who really benefits from tearing this family apart. She turned to leave, then paused. Oh, and Jessica? Check your new friend's gallery records. Art sales make excellent laundering operations, don't they, Mr. Brooks? The door chimed again as she left. I turned to Ethan, who wouldn't meet my eyes. Is it true? Jess? Is it true? He sank into his chair. I needed startup capital. Your mother offered a solution. My phone kept buzzing. Megan's messages grew more frantic. Dad's gone missing. His office is empty. All files deleted. The security footage still played silently on the laptop. I watched Marcus's car crash again, understanding now that I was watching my future if I made the wrong choice. I can explain, Ethan started. Don't. I gathered the evidence into my bag. You're just like them, all of you. Where are you going? To make a deal. I headed for the door. But not the one Mother expects. Jessica, wait! But I was already gone, Marcus's last warning echoing in my head. Trust no one, especially family. My phone rang. Samantha! I let it go to voicemail. Another text from Megan. Mom's calling everyone. Whatever you're planning, do it fast. I drove to the federal building, evidence in hand. But as I parked, I noticed a black SUV identical to the one from Marcus's accident, waiting. Another text arrived, unknown number. Your father chose family, so did Marcus. Choose wisely. The federal building loomed before me, promising justice or destruction. My phone buzzed one final time. Mother. 12 hours, darling. Tick-tock. I sat in my car, evidence in one hand, phone in the other, watching the black SUV in my rearview mirror. The choice wasn't just about revenge anymore. It was about survival. And I finally understood what Mother had known all along. In this game, there are no winners, only survivors. The annual Clark Foundation Gala sparkled with hypocrisy and champagne. I watched from the mezzanine as Mother worked the crowd below, her silver dress catching light like armor. 6 hours remained of her ultimatum, and I'd made my choice. Megan appeared beside me, clutching her phone. Dad's back. He's in Mother's office right now, destroying everything. Perfect timing! I adjusted my black evening gown, the one Mother always hated. Is Samantha here? Front row playing federal agent, the team's positioning around the building. The evidence sat heavy in my clutch, copies distributed to every major news outlet, set to release at midnight. Mother's corruption, father's frauds, all of it. But something still felt wrong. Ladies! Father's voice behind us. He looked exhausted, defeated. It's time for the family photo. Is that before or after you finish shredding the evidence? I asked. He grabbed my arm, fingers digging in. You have no idea what you're about to unleash. David! Mother's voice cut through the murmur of guests. She stood at the bottom of the stairs, perfectly poised. The photographer's waiting. As we descended, I caught Ethan's eye across the room. He shook his head slightly, a warning. But it was too late. The camera flashed. Mother, father, Megan, me. The perfect family portrait. One last lie. And now, Mother announced to the crowd, my daughter Jessica has something to share. My heart stopped. She knew. Go on, darling. Her smile was victorious. Tell them about the federal investigation, the witness protection offer, your little revenge plot. The room went silent. Cameras turned toward me. Or, she continued, I could tell them about Marcus Allen's real connection to this family, about why he was really investigating us. Mother, Megan started. Quiet. Mother's voice could have frozen hell. Jessica isn't the only one who can play detective. Marcus was your father's illegitimate son, and now he's dead, because you couldn't leave well enough alone. The room spun. Marcus? My half-brother? I looked at Father, saw the truth in his face. The evidence. I reached for my clutch, but it was gone. Looking for this? Samantha stepped forward, holding my bag. I'm afraid these documents are now federal property. You said you were helping me, I whispered. I am. She nodded to someone behind me. By stopping you from destroying yourself. Security guards appeared, surrounding our family. Not arrest, protection. Your mother, Samantha continued, has been working with us for months, gathering evidence against the real criminals, the ones above your father, the ones who would kill to keep their secrets. Mother's perfect mask cracked, showing something like pain. I tried to protect you, Jessica, all of you, even Marcus, before you forced his hand. By ruining my career? By lying about everything? By keeping you alive? Father's voice broke. Marcus knew too much. He wouldn't back down, just like you. Ethan appeared at my side, but I stepped away. You're part of this too, aren't you? The gallery was a front, he admitted, for the investigation. The betrayal was complete. Every person I'd trusted, every move I'd made, all orchestrated. I wasn't the player, I was the piece being played. So what now? I asked Mother. More manipulation? More lies? Now, she said softly, you choose. Join the investigation officially. Help us bring down the real enemies. Or walk away. Witness protection, new identity, new life. And if I expose everything anyway? Then we all die. Megan's voice shook. Including you. The gala continued around us, oblivious guests dancing, drinking, laughing. My revenge had backfired spectacularly, leaving me more trapped than ever. Tick-tock, darling, Mother said. What's it going to be? I looked at my family. Really looked at them. Mother's calculated control. Father's guilty desperation. Megan's genuine fear. The weight of generations of lies pressed down, suffocating. You want my choice? I stepped onto the stage, grabbing the microphone. Security moved forward, but Mother held up her hand, watching. The room quieted. Cameras turned. My family waited, frozen. Everything I'd planned, everything I'd wanted. It all came down to this moment. And I finally understood. Sometimes revenge isn't about destroying your enemies. It's about becoming them. I lifted the microphone, ready to make my choice, ready to either save my family or destroy it completely. And Mother smiled, knowing she'd won either way. I lowered the microphone without speaking. Mother's triumphant smile faltered as I walked off stage, straight toward her office. She followed, exactly as I knew she would. Behind us, Megan and Father exchanged glances, then trailed after. The office door clicked shut, muffling the gala's music. Mother's sanctuary, all clean lines and calculated perfection. Except for one thing, Marcus's laptop open on her desk. "How long have you known?" I asked. About Marcus?" She moved to close the laptop, but I got there first. "Since before you hired him?" "No." I turned the screen toward her. "About this." The email chain displayed showed correspondence between Mother and Marcus dating back 2 years. Not investigation notes, collaboration. They'd been working together, gathering evidence against someone bigger than our family. Someone whose name appeared in every third email. James Morrison. "My real father," I said quietly. The color drained from Mother's face. Father grabbed the desk for support. Megan's sharp intake of breath cut through the silence. "How did you—" "Marcus told me, right before the accident." I pulled out my phone, played the voice recording. Marcus's last message. Explaining everything. How Mother had fallen for Morrison 23 years ago. How he'd used her to access Father's company. How she'd discovered his true nature too late. "You didn't protect us," I said. "You protected yourself." "Jessica." She reached for me, but I stepped back. "Marcus wasn't Father's son. He was Morrison's, my half-brother. And you killed him to keep that secret." "No." Her voice cracked. "Morrison killed him because Marcus found proof of everything. The fraud, the murders, all of it. I tried to save him." "By sending him to me? Using your own children as pawns? By giving him what he wanted most?" She opened her desk drawer, removed a thick file. "The truth about his family. About you." The file contained everything. DNA tests, surveillance photos, financial records. Morrison's empire built on blood and betrayal. My true heritage, written in cold, hard facts. "I made a choice," Mother said softly, "to protect my daughters by any means necessary, even if it meant losing them. It wasn't your choice to make, wasn't it?" She stepped closer. "Morrison is coming for us now, tonight, because you couldn't leave it alone, just like Marcus." A commotion outside, raised voices, breaking glass. Samantha burst in. "He's here! Morrison's men are in the building!" Mother moved with surprising speed, grabbing the laptop and file. "There's a safe room downstairs. We need to—" The window exploded inward. Security alarms blared. Through the chaos, I saw him, James Morrison himself, my biological father, stepping through the broken glass like a demon entering his domain. "Linda," he smiled, "we need to talk about your children." Mother's hand found mine, squeezing once. In that grip, I felt decades of lies and love, protection and betrayal, all tangled together. I looked at her, really looked, and saw not the manipulative matriarch, but a woman who'd spent 23 years outmaneuvering a monster. "Run," she whispered, but I didn't. Instead, I stepped forward, Marcus's final evidence clutched in my hand. Because sometimes the greatest revenge isn't exposing the truth, it's choosing which truths to weaponize. "Hello, Father," I said. "Let's talk about family." Behind me, Mother's sharp intake of breath might have been fear, or pride, or both. Morrison's smile widened as he reached inside his jacket. "Just like your brother, always choosing the hard way." The Gala's music still played below, an elegant waltz accompanying this moment of reckoning. In the reflection of the broken window, I saw my family united for the first time, not by love or loyalty, but by the need to survive what came next. I opened the file, ready to play my final card, ready to discover if revenge was worth the price of truth. The first shot shattered everything. Morrison's bullet missed me by inches, embedding itself in the wall as Mother tackled me down. Through the chaos of shattering glass and screams, I saw Megan slam her hand on the office's panic button. Steel shutters began descending over the windows. "The files!" Morrison barked at his men. "Get them all!" But the laptop was already gone. Samantha had vanished with it in the chaos. Father stood between Morrison and Mother, his familiar cowardice replaced with something fiercer. Protection, love. Too late, but real. "You can't have them," Mother said, rising. "Any of them." Morrison's laugh cut short as federal agents burst through the door, Samantha leading them. In the moment before all hell broke loose, I saw something in Morrison's eyes. Not fear, recognition. He was looking at me like a mirror. "Just like Marcus," he said again, softer this time. Then he raised his gun. 2 shots rang out. Morrison fell. Behind him stood Megan, holding the gun from Mother's desk drawer, hands steady despite her tears. "That's for my sister," she whispered. Hours later, as federal agents combed through the mansion, I found Mother in her private study, burning papers in the fireplace. "More secrets?" I asked. "Insurance." She didn't look up. "There are still people out there who'd hurt you to get to him. Even dead, he's controlling us." "No." She finally met my eyes. "Everything I did, the manipulation, the lies, it was about control. I became what I feared to protect you from him, but I lost you anyway." I picked up a photograph from her desk. Morrison and Mother, 23 years ago. She looked happy, unguarded. "You loved him." "I loved the lie." She took the photo, fed it to the flames. "Just like you loved the lie of revenge." The truth hit harder than Morrison's bullet would have. All my carefully planned vengeance had been meaningless. I'd been fighting the wrong enemy, just like she had. "The company?" I asked. "Yours, if you want it. You're better suited than Megan." "And you?" She smiled tiredly. "I'm tired of control." In the hallway, I found Megan sitting alone, still holding the gun loosely. "I didn't know I could," she said. "Be strong. Be free." We sat together, sisters properly for the first time, as dawn broke over the ruined mansion. Samantha appeared with coffee and news. Morrison's empire crumbling, his conspirators scrambling, Father cooperating fully with authorities. "And Ethan?" I asked. "Gone. Witness protection." I nodded, unsurprised. Some betrayals leave no room for redemption. Mother's last secret waited in a letter on my desk at home. Her confession, written years ago when she first discovered Morrison's true nature. Not an apology. She wasn't capable of that. But an explanation, a warning, a love letter to the daughter she'd shaped into a weapon. I didn't burn it like she'd burned her past. Instead, I locked it away with Marcus's final message and Morrison's files. Some truths need preserving, even if they're never spoken. The Clark family survived, transformed but unbroken. Mother stepped down but never far away, watching her empire transfer to my hands with pride and fear. Megan found her voice without pretense, her blog becoming a platform for uncomfortable truths. Father learned to stand without Mother's strength, though the habit of weakness died hard. And I learned that revenge is like a mirror. It shows you who you really are, who you might become. Sometimes the reflection is Morrison's cold calculation. Sometimes it's Mother's fierce protection. Sometimes it's Marcus's doomed nobility. But in the end, it's just you, choosing which reflection to embrace. The company thrived under my leadership, built on truth instead of secrets. But I kept Mother's private study exactly as she left it, the ashes of her burned papers untouched. A reminder that some victories feel like losses, and some wounds heal stronger than the original flesh. Because that's the thing about vengeance. It doesn't end with justice or punishment. It ends when you choose to set down the mirror and walk away, knowing the reflection will always be there, waiting, ready to show you who you might still become.